All right.
All right, so I'm recording. So, like I said, welcome everyone. We're going to be doing these meetings probably try to do them every month, but in some cases we'll do them more than once a month. Some cases we'll do them every other month, depending on what's going on with the chapter. Um, so we should certainly get through this in an hour, maybe even less than an hour, hopefully less than an hour. There's two main areas I wanted to cover. First, I wanted to talk about onboarding of the new members, and I may push that to the back of the call in the interest of time because some folks have to jump early. The other one, a part thing I want to talk about is what our objectives for 2026 are and coming up with some kind of a roadmap. And what I came up with is, again, these are just my ideas. And as I present this, I'd love to hear feedback and input from you guys. So interrupt as I go forth and let me know what you think about it. First, couple of things. First of all, anybody who's a new board member, I need to get a picture and a bio from you for the website. So if you can get that to me by January 1st, that'd be appreciated. Um, Whoever is a new member, I have business cards for you. These really nifty business. Kurt, have you ever given these out to anybody?
Yeah, I have. I haven't for a while, but when we first got them, I definitely gave some out.
All right, they're pretty nifty business cards, two-sided. One side has a beautiful picture of Coors Field. The other side is mostly white, which gives you room to write your personal information on it. So, I guess Kerry, Michael Roberts, and whoever's new was never not. I guess everyone else who was an existing member should have these cards ready. Whoever's new, I'll be passing these cards out to. But pictures and bios, give me that before the first of the year if you could, so I could put them on the website. High level roles for each. I sent these out a little bit earlier. These are directly from the bylaws. Again, I mean, they could be a bit fluid. I mean, there's going to be some overlap between some of the roles on the board. And regardless of what your role and function is, everybody on the board is going to have an equal say in what the chapter does, the direction we take, the events we have, the projects and programs that we have, etc. So, I mean, we're kind of all on equal footing as far as that goes, but per the bylaws, there are specific functions that each of the roles have. Just a note about the bylaws, they have not been reviewed and amended since 2018, and I think that's something we should seriously consider doing probably sometime in the first half, if not the first quarter of 2026, is to take a look at the bylaws and see if there's anything that, doesn't make sense that should be amended. So we'll probably address that in, the next meeting or two. All right. As far as specific knowledge transfer, both for Kerry and Mike Roberts, well, I'll cover that on this call, but like I said, in the interest of time, we'll push that to the back. Kerry, I think I gave you access to all the files the chapter has. When I first became secretary, Alex Marks gave me a USB stick with all the historical files of the chapter the secretary should have. I transferred those to Google Drive and I gave you access, and you confirmed you have access, right?
Correct.
All right.
Yes.
So specific functions, I'll do a knowledge transfer with you one off. It won't take very long. So, one day you want to do it over Zoom, whatever, it should take a half hour to do the full knowledge transfer. All right. And Michael, yours may be a little bit more detailed. We'll do yours, Michael, at the end of this meeting, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All
Hey,
right.
I tried to click on the video thing. It doesn't look like it's showing on my screen. Can you guys see me or
No.
I
Yeah,
cannot
I
see
see it.
you.
I
Cannot
don't
see
know
you.
why.
Is your camera like active? Do you have like the tab taken off your camera?
Yeah, this is a new kind of a new laptop I got a couple months ago, but
You aren't using it. I used to do this sometimes where I'd have my laptop closed and I'm looking at a monitor and I forgot that you got to open the laptop where the camera is. That wouldn't be your case, would it?
yeah, the laptop is open.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mike, you don't even have your video turned on in Zoom. That's what little icon is there with the camera with the line through it. So on the bottom of your screen, you should have a little icon for audio and video.
Yeah, yeah, which I do, and I clicked on it so that it took away the red slash, so it looks like it should be on, but
All right.
so I'm not sure. Like I was kind of messing around with it before you started the meeting to see how come this thing isn't
Hey,
coming.
Michael. Hey, Michael. One more suggestion, and we can move on.
Yeah,
You said you have a laptop, right? Do you
yeah,
have a little like switch on the camera lens
Hmm.
itself that's on your laptop that like
That's right.
closes it
yeah.
or opens it?
That's a good point. I
But
don't.
but but Dave,
I
that
know
wouldn't
some of
be
them
it
have.
because you see his account, the icon, the camera with the line through it. That means
Right.
in Zoom he has not enabled audio, a video. Has nothing to do with the physical camera.
Yeah,
Mm.
I know I've seen some laptops with that little clip on them, but this one doesn't seem to have
It's
that.
it's no big deal, Mike. We'll get through it. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah,
We trust you're there.
I'm here, and yeah, maybe, uh, like I said, I kind of clicked on a few things before the meeting started, but I don't know why it's not going on.
No worries, man. All right. So again, the objectives, these are just high level objectives, which I'll drill into in some of the upcoming slides. And again, these are ones that's just off the top of my head. And I want to hear feedback from you guys as to what you feel the chapter objective should be. But at a high level, these are the four that I came up with. First is obvious, provide value to the members, and I'll drill into that a bit more. Promote our chapter. Who do we want to promote it to? How do we want to promote it? Expand the outreach both to our chapter members and to the community. And what I'd like to do is achieve MVP status. There's three potential statuses at SABR Awards. It's starting lineup, which everybody has, and there's All Star, which we've achieved in the last 4 years, and there's MVP, which only one chapter has achieved the last 2 years, and that's the Minneapolis chapter. And there's no way Minneapolis should be better than us, right? So we should definitely achieve MVP status. So providing value to the members, I mean, here's ways I feel we could provide value. All right. So in our meetings and events, obviously, so we have the monthly luncheons, which I think they're really well attended and I think they go really well. And Kurt, you do a good job running them and people participate and people
Thank
have
you.
that's great. We get the same 25 to 30 people every month, but how can we make them better and how can we get people more involved? Media content. So how do we want to provide people coming back to our website, right? Whether it's something good in our newsletter, whether it's a video on our website, a blog, something external, just keep our content fresh and interesting. We have a lot of really good writers in our chapter. People could put together interesting content. So the more we can, not just on the board, but in our chapter as well, we have a lot of folks who really have great baseball knowledge and the ability to express that knowledge. We want people coming to our website or to our social media channels constantly to look at fresh content. So that's a good way to do that. And I'll get your feedback on all these in a second. Participation in projects. So, all right. So the one project we have, which I'm surprised more people didn't jump on board with, is the Colorado Born Players Almanac, which I think is going really well.
It's really fun.
But I'm just surprised more people don't want to get involved with something like that. And how do we actually solicit input from these people to get involved with some of these programs we're doing more? Or how do we come up with programs that may interest people more? So when we had the elections a couple months ago, you guys all saw it, I put together 5 questions in a survey to kind of gauge what the interest of our chapter members are. What do they want to see? What would they want to participate in? What would they feel value in? And I'll share those results in a second. So maybe if we have programs and projects that are more catered toward the needs of the chapter, we'll get more participation. And the last thing is establishing committees. So based on what I just said here and providing value, anything you could think of off the top of your heads that would be a good way to provide value to our members. And that was a question to you guys.
Joe, if the last baseball card meeting we had, no, excuse me, it was the monthly meeting we had, that guy that pitched for the Astros. Back in the day, I haven't been too active in SABR for the last 15 years or so. I'm pretty busy with my career, but used to be a little more involved back maybe 15 years ago. It seemed like we pretty regularly had get-togethers where we had kind of big names in the sport. Patrick Saunders, Steve Carlton, Maury Wills, guys like that. That we somehow, and I don't know who did it, but somebody was able to get a hold of their agents or whatever and get them to a meeting or a dinner or have a get together around it. And it seemed like it was just something that would be a lot of interest to a lot of people if we could do that. Whitey Herzog was another one we had speak to us at one point.
And Mike, this would be at our monthly luncheons. We'd have this.
it wouldn't be a monthly luncheon. It'd be more or less once a year. There
Well,
would
they
be,
not only did them on the annual banquet, but they also we had them a lot of times at the quarterly. We would usually have a quarterly Saturday meeting,
Okay.
Saturday mornings, and bring somebody like that into those sometimes. But the Steve Carltons and those kinds were more the banquets,
yeah,
the
yeah.
annual banquet.
But it seemed like it was probably more like once a year. But it was always pretty impressive. I don't know, and I don't know who was able to get those guys to commit, but seems like we just don't really do that anymore.
Well, the Denny McLean Zoom, that was fantastic.
It was.
Oh,
And
it
Sam
was
McDowell
really
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
McDowell was good too.
So other than guest speakers, guys, in terms of providing value to the membership, not necessarily in meetings, but other ways we could provide value.
Well, I think one thing we could do is because I really enjoyed the Denny McLean. I also enjoyed doing we had the Zoom when my sister and I went to the Antique Roadshow and talked about that to show perhaps what different members are doing, maybe once a month or something uh, that they could share with us. Because we have the baseball cards. I mean, Andrew does that with our baseball card committee, but I mean, and not everybody can make those, and maybe he does a Zoom with the baseball cards, for an event or. I'm doing the baseball memories with Joe and with Karen and, doing a presentation of what we do with what we do with the senior resource centers, that the center that we go to, something where we see what different people are up to and, try to establish some interest. And because I'm always looking for other individuals who could help out, at that, with the baseball memories. And it's just
Well,
an idea.
speaking as a former public relations guy, I think that Baseball Memories has great opportunity with the media to maybe get a TV, news feature or some other media coverage on that because it's really a great thing that you guys are doing.
I could ask at the Senior Resource Center, the person who's in charge of the activities, Eli is his name, and I can ask him about that. I mean, our last presentation that we just had on Monday, Joe and I were there for the Christmas presentation. And we had all men. It was the first time, and I've been doing the baseball memories for a good 3 or 4 years down in the Austin area. And I've never seen, just having men there. And as Joe would test, I mean, they were singing along and just enjoying it, and it's been I've been very pleased with the feedback we're getting from that, and yeah, I think that's a great idea. See if we
All
can
right,
get
it's a
some
very good
media
idea.
attention.
All right,
Joe,
so
let me.
go ahead, Kurt.
Well, I was
Go
going
ahead.
to say that to specifically address your question, I have a hard time answering that because I'm really involved with the SABR chapter, and I feel like I get everything out of it I want. Everything I could ask for, I get out of it. And the tough part is those people that don't really actively get involved. What can we do for them? Or even, others that just maybe even show up just to luncheon and that's about it. What can we do for them? It's hard for me to say because everything I could want from this chapter, I think I aggressively jump in and make it happen. Or, I
And
love the
I think
lunches.
a core group of us, Kurt, feel the same way. But it's
Yeah,
just a core group. The folks on this
yeah.
call and maybe a few other folks. I mean, we have 158 people in the chapter, and maybe 20 get involved in any meaningful way. And that's fine. So this is good leading to the next thing. So these are the responses to the survey questions that I tacked onto the election that we had. So the first one we're saying, in addition to our baseball card group, which has really done well. I mean, Brian's done a fantastic job with that. I know Andrew's pitching in and helping as well. Anything else we could add you might be interested in? So 13 of the 55 people answered this, which is better than nothing, I guess. But 6 people said an analytics group, which, I mean, and that's the core of what SABR is. SABR is baseball reference, baseball history, baseball analytics, etc. And there's folks who are interested in it, so maybe put together some kind of analytics group. Maybe get some guest speakers who have a background in it, who wrote a book about it. Might not be a bad idea to do that. Gaming and simulation is a fun thing. We talked about this before. I know a lot of folks like tabletop games or computer simulation. I mean, that's something we could do. And a lot of folks in book club as well. And I know Karen is very keen on leading a book club. There's a lot of folks who read baseball books. I'm sure most of us have a bunch of books that are our favorites. Carrie is in the process of getting one published soon, hopefully. So why not have a book club? I think so. These are three things I think right off the bat we could see some instant value add in. What do you guys think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
I think
right. Okay.
on that,
Love the book club idea.
yeah.
Yeah, I do too, Dave. I think that would go over really well. The analytics might be a little harder to get off the ground. The book club, I think we can get that running really quickly. There's not a lot involved in terms of ramping that up. Analytics might take a little more effort, but the majority of folks who answer just say they do want something with analytics. So we should kind of focus on that too.
I would need to learn how to read, but other than that, it's all good.
All right. There's books with lots of pictures in it too, so that should be fun. So
I host a club with another group I'm involved in, and we also have a very active Slack, and it's kind of fun on that because as people come across books, they just throw the book out as an idea, and then like once a quarter we'll do a vote and do that. So I think and one thing that's cool about that is like there are books that we don't actually end up reading as a group, but individuals find out about via that way. So I don't know if there's a way to
that
have
is
like
a
a
great
live
suggestion.
nominating.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, Alex. I mean, Slack is a fantastic tool, and we're the only chapter who actually has a Slack workspace. And I think at first when we launched it, it was getting used a lot, and participation died off, which is a shame because it's such a great collaborative tool. So I think we should try to promote that for not just things like the book club, but for other. And it's not technically, I know we have a lot of folks in our chapter who are a little up there in years and a little intimidated by technology, but I don't think that's that difficult to use once you start using it. So we should really try to promote Slack a bit more, shouldn't we?
Could you tell me what Slack is? I don't know what that
There we go. See, there's my perfect example right there. What is Slack? The man says. When we're offline, I'll show you how to use it, Peter. But
is.
it's
Okay.
it's easy to
All
use.
right.
Our second
So,
question. I'm sorry. Somebody said something.
well, I was just going to say that my issue with Slack when it was started was that I just got inundated with emails saying that
But you
somebody
can
had,
turn that off, Carrie. There's ways to turn off notifications. Yeah, I know it's a pain, but it's easy. In fact, what I can do is go in and by default disable email notifications so people don't get hit with those.
okay.
All right. All right. So in addition to our monthly in-person luncheons, what other gatherings would you like? So the majority of folks, how many people? More people answered this. 18 answered this. 8 people said they like weekend get-togethers. And Kurt, I think you had mentioned the quarterly breakfasts that we were having. I think those would be
Yeah.
a great idea to start again. And those are perfect opportunities to bring in guest speakers too. So every 3 months, have a breakfast somewhere. We could change the venue if we could, so we're not bringing everybody to downtown Denver. We could bring in guest speakers, not necessarily Jerry Lumpy Jr., but maybe somebody more like Michael mentioned before, that's somebody of note. But I mean, the majority of folks say they can't make the weekday lunches, but a weekend Saturday breakfast would be a good thing. So maybe we should plan on having a few of those, right?
Yeah, and let me just make a comment on that. What I have observed historically is those Saturday morning meetings, and sometimes, they were 10:30 or so and turned into more of lunches, but the Saturday meetings were always well attended. And I'm always hearing from people, well, you need to do more evenings for those of us that work during the day, but it's always the same people that show up to the evening events that go to the lunches. Just like last night was a good example. You get a couple, but for the most part, the evenings have not been well attended historically.
So
So
do
I'll
you
just
do
throw
you
that out.
think that an evening event in summertime when it's lighter out, warmer weather might bring in more people than one in December?
Not for me, it wouldn't be. To ask me personally, my summer evenings are so busy.
Okay.
I struggle with that. I just don't like being indoors for meetings like that in the summertime. So I don't know. That's my own personal.
Fair enough. But you're saying a quarterly Saturday breakfast is probably going to
Always
attract a
been
lot of
really
folks.
well attended. But of course, I say that, and we always had, as Michael alluded to earlier, we always had a guest speaker, whether it was a big name guy or not. It may be the assistant GM for the Rockies, or the Rockies analytics guy, or somebody but they've always been well attended on Saturdays.
And I think we should, and I think it wouldn't be that much of a challenge. If we're going to do this quarterly, we could find a guest speaker every 3 months, even if it's Jerry Lumpy Jr. We could find somebody to,
If I could make a suggestion on that, it would almost tie in with the book club. But every month there are new baseball books coming out, and these are authors that want to promote their books and talk about their subject of expertise. And I think we could easily do, get guest speakers, or even, if we do Zoom, a Zoom conference, where we all get together and have somebody up on a screen. I think that would be one source for getting guest speakers.
That's exactly how we landed Sam McDowell, actually. He'd just come out with his book, and so he was, of course, he wasn't here to be live, but they are very anxious to go speak after they put a book out.
McLean as well was pushing his
Yes.
book, wasn't he? That's a great suggestion, Kerry. And I think we should keep doing our virtual meetings, if not monthly, I mean, at least every other month, and we should target guest speakers for those as well.
Yeah, hey Joe, yeah, really quick on that. The virtual meetings, I thought, we're off to a really good start, but I think we collectively as a board just kind of dropped the ball because it seems like we didn't really have a single one for the last half of the year. So that's one thing.
No, that's not true, Dave. Go onto the website. You see, we did have quite a few. I think we're struggling to find an agenda.
Well,
and speakers.
Hold on, Joe. In the last half of this year, we did not have many virtual meetings. We surely did not have one a month. That's what I'm talking
No, we
about.
didn't have one a month. I mean, again, it wasn't my role to actually initiate those.
Yeah. I'm not blaming you. Yeah, I'm just saying all of us as a
No one
board,
should be blamed for it. I mean,
we kind of blew it.
I think we had 7 this year, but
Yeah.
I think we were trying to force them for the sake of having them. And unless we have a good an interesting agenda to attract people to join and participate, and a good speaker, what's the point in having them? And I think that was the biggest challenge. We're finding people to present. But I mean, I think collectively we could find people to present. And like Kerry said, there's always somebody with a book who wants to promote that book. So at the very least, we can get authors in.
You got it. Yeah. I think that should be a focus this year to just make sure we stick with them and do them regularly.
I totally agree. But again, they need to be relevant. I mean, they need to be something.
We can
And
also
I think we
tap in.
Hey, look who joined.
Yes. Hey, Karen.
We can also tap into the meetings going on, the Zoom meetings across the country. They have a lot of them. I watched one a few weeks ago. A Korean female baseball player presented, and there were only like 14 people on the call, and it was
That's unfortunate. There should have been a lot more for that. But
But
that's a great point,
they-
Karen. I mean, sometimes people who are promoting something will do a virtual meeting with one of the SABR chapters. We could just see who these people are having to do their virtuals and just bring them in to do ours as well.
they put them on the newsletter Friday
Every
email.
Friday, yeah.
You'll
Every
see a lot of things going on nationally.
All right, just to finish this slide. So weekend gatherings is doing a quarterly week. Other things like getting together at games at Coors Field, doing field trips, whatever. I'm sure that we could think of these things like every 2 months, every 3 months, having a field trip to see a game at Coors, maybe to go up to Boulder to see the Boulder 64s, whatever they're called now. A trip to a museum somewhere. I mean, just a field trip or an outing at different places in the state that are more accessible to some of our members.
Yeah.
The other thing is the geographic situation. So we have all of our meetings in downtown Denver or thereabouts. And we have folks who live in Fort Collins. We have folks who live in Greeley, folks who live down in Colorado Springs. So I asked, I mean, where would you rather have these meetings if not in Denver? And 17 people answered. It was kind of a split between North and South. People are saying, let's do them in the Lakewood Golden area. Let's do them in Colorado Springs, Castle Rock. Other folks, Fort Collins, Loveland area. I guess it wouldn't hurt to, just one thing I want to share really quickly. This is our chapter demographics. I shared this a while ago, and this is shown both by age. I mean, it's kind of sad. The mean age is 63 and a half for our chapter. It would be nice to get that lower if we could, and that's something we could do through recruiting. But the majority of our members are in Denver, Arapahoe, or Jeffco, and some in Douglas County. So we try to cater to the majority. If the bulk of our chapter members live in a certain geographic area, it makes sense to host our in-person meetings in those areas. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to cater this to the folks that are outliers unless you guys could think of a way to do that.
Well,
Interesting.
years back, I worked with the Colorado Film and Video Association, and they cover all of Colorado, but they had like all of their meetings were in Denver. And so I made a push to try to reach out to other areas, and we actually did start drawing. We did a couple of events, down in the southwest corner near Durango, and we started to build our membership down there too. So I think that some like especially when we do the virtual meetings and things like that, those are something that people from all over because we're the Rocky Mountain chapter. I think that we've got Wyoming and New Mexico and Montana. Then there aren't any other chapters that cover those areas, and we could probably draw some members.
All right, the next question is, I mean, what other activities? And we got some good responses here. Things like youth baseball programs, women baseball, historical markers or grave markers. Do we have a marker at Merchants Park? Does anyone know that?
We don't, I don't
No,
think,
That would
but
be
we've talked about it.
we did talk about
there,
that. Would
there
be a
was
great
there was
thought.
something I had actually started inquiring um, when I was talking with Bruce Hellerstein because that was kind of a hot button for him. And there you can go through the city. I mean, you'd have to go through the city to do it, but there is a process for doing it, and it's a little bit long and drawn out. There's a lot of paperwork
But
attached
we
to it,
also get
but
the support from SABR headquarters too, because they have the historical markers. And as far as funding for a marker, as far as getting through some of that red tape, we can get their assistance in doing that. But that might be a good project. But I mean, I know Karen, you express an interest in women's baseball, and I mean, you could take the lead on anything you want to do. I mean, if there's anything specific regarding women's baseball you'd like to dig in further and maybe put together a committee to work with you on that, that would be great. I mean, we're being pushed for diversity. We're diverse now. We're a diverse board. We have our first woman board member in a very long time, right? And sure, who was the last one we had?
Her name was Kate, and she moved back to New Hampshire or Massachusetts, Boston, maybe. She was that was probably about 2017 when she left, because I think I started on the board in about 16, and she was on for about a year while I was.
Okay. Well, all right. So I'll send this deck out to everyone to review some of these, but I think there's some really good ideas as far as programs we could, take on in 2026. Again, I don't know if there's anything here that's surprising. No one's surprised by the age, the age breakdown, I don't think. And this is pretty much common to every chapter in the country. For some reason, the majority of people who get involved with groups like this with baseball are old white men. But I mean, that's just recruiting. I mean, if we find ways to recruit to the schools or whatever, we could get some younger folks in here, and I think it's great. So if we could do that, but we have 13 people over the age of 80 in our chapter.
Really?
Yeah.
And I know another one I think is 79 and just
All
about to
right.
turn
Well, that
80.
number's going to go up then. All right. So based on the feedback I got from the surveys, here's just some ideas I came up with committees. So we don't have any committees in our chapter, and SABR headquarters is encouraging the regional chapters to put together committees, and a lot of other regional chapters do have committees. We don't have any. We should have some committees. These were, well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. The baseball card group is technically a committee.
So
So,
is the Colorado database. That's a
well,
committee.
that's not a committee, Kurt. That's a project. That's a project. That's different. Committees are ongoing, they're perpetual. So you have a group of
Okay.
people and committees will undertake projects. That's just a standalone project that we have. And I'll get into the difference between a project and a program in a second. But I mean, this is something where you meet on an ongoing basis. You have committee leads, you have committee members, you have an agenda, you have projects, et cetera. It's kind of an ongoing perpetual thing. But the baseball card group, and what I'd like to have is every committee to have a formal chair and co-chair and have members. So obviously, baseball card group is Brian Warner and Andrew Orcutt. They're going to be our committee leads. But here's some other ideas I had for committees. Book club, Karen, we've already penciled you in to be the committee lead for our book club. That's so by joining late, you got assigned a task, but that's something you said that you were interested in doing, right, Karen?
I am, yes.
Analytics. We talked.
Congratulations on the appointment.
So I mean, other ones like doing a history committee, right? I mean, historic ballparks, player bios, etc. Gaming and simulation. I know it's kind of a geeky thing. I love it, and there's a few other folks in the chapter who love it as well. We do have a SABR National Gaming and Simulations Committee. I work really closely with those guys. The event planning committee, we already have that. Paul Parker raised both hands. He wants to chair that. He wants to bring in Mark Knutson and he wants to bring in Bill Akbah to work with him on that. And I think they'll do an excellent job with all their experience and with all their contacts. Negro Leagues or Women in Baseball is another committee, a newsletter committee. So, it's not the same people work on the newsletter every month, and a social media committee. Anything here stand out? Anything here that you feel we should add to something that's in your head that we should create as a committee potentially?
Do we want to have one for the memories committee, baseball memories and that?
That's a really good idea, Pete. I'm surprised I omitted that. Yes, that should be one as well.
I'm willing to chair that.
No, I know Jamie couldn't make the call. Jamie was working on that. I don't know to what extent you and Jamie have been working together on that, or
Not
you could
not much.
co-chair it.
We talked about that. He's really busy. We've talked about he. In fact, we were talking about because of his work schedule, we might try to see if we can get to go to a place on a Saturday, to bring that because like a long-term facility where individuals are residents there. Right now, we go to like a daycare facility that's
Okay.
only open Monday through Friday. So, and I'm really open to bringing the program other places, not just to one place. We have it in Wheat Ridge, and that's great. It's worked out quite well. But
All right.
yeah, I like
So
it.
obviously we can't kick off all these committees at once. It's too much work. But what are the ones that stand out? I would say the book club is a pretty easy one to start up. There's not a lot of ramp up time for that. Um, Event planning, I think we have in place already. Any of these others that really stand out that we should make a priority, you think? Because we had at least 6 people in our survey say they're interested in analytics, so maybe we should focus on that as well. Okay. Well, if you think of any
Yeah,
others,
I think analytics would also help in bringing down the median age of the group. We do a lot of things with baseball history,
right.
but we're not doing much of the more modern stuff. But the baseball history, I don't know which came first, the age of our members or the interest in history.
That's a good point. All right, but again, the key elements of a committee is you have regular meetings, you plan events, you produce output for the chapter, you know, like Brian and Andrew were doing with the baseball card stuff. So, all right,
Do we have a membership committee?
that is another glaring omission of mine, Kerry. Thank you. A recruitment committee, and I think
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
one committee that I think Sabre headquarters is really pushing every regional chapter to have as a recruitment committee. And about a month or so ago, I came up with an outline, a plan for recruitment, and I presented that to Scott Bush, which he liked. So, I mean, we could use that as the basis for how we're going to do recruitment. That's a big omission. Thank you for saying that, Kerry.
Yeah, in fact, Joe, you'd already talked about building a uh, committee for that.
I did,
So,
Kurt, I did.
yeah.
Um, all right, let's try to skip through the rest as quickly as possible. It's 6:40 already. Events. All right. So what events can we do to add value to the chapter? So we do our monthly luncheons. I mean, I put down alternative venues, but I think Stoney's has been pretty good for those monthly luncheons, right?
Yeah, and for those of you on the board now that don't know this already, it is really hard to find a venue. I mean, when we lost that last venue we were at, I was going everywhere. Paul Parker didn't like Stony, so he said, "I'm going to find another one for you." He went out and tried, came back and said, "Couldn't do it either." Everybody wants money. They want you to pay one tab. So changing venues is not easy. I'm very happy with Stoney's.
And the only knock I think heard on Stoney's that I've heard is parking, and I don't think parking's that bad.
I always get there early, so I don't know, but
Oh.
yeah, I've heard that
It's
too.
hard to hear sometimes.
What's that,
That's my
Karen?
main. It's really hard to hear at Stony's.
It's hard to hear.
Well, Karen sits a lot of times at that table back by everybody else, where the people by the bar.
Yeah, the
And
noise comes
I
in
know
from
that table gets pretty loud back there.
So Karen, even with the speaker and microphone, it's hard to hear? Maybe if we put the
Sometimes it
speaker
is,
more
yeah.
centrally located, I don't know.
Yeah.
And when the whole group's there, all the inner seats are taken. So
Mhm.
In the event that Blake Street Tavern ever opens again, I mean, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. It doesn't look like there's
Yeah.
any progress in that at all. Um, all right. So, I mean, and having guest speakers at our lunches, I thought that was incredible to get Brian King in. I thought that was great. I mean, I thought he did a great job. And I know we're not going to get a Major League Baseball player every month to come to our luncheon, but if we can get guest speakers, I know back in the day we were getting some when Dan was running it, right? We got some folks in the Rockies, and that'd be great if at least, every other month we had an external speaker to come in. The virtuals,
Let me make a comment about that while we're on the subject. I think Brian, if I understand it right, I'm sure Brian just showed up based on his dad asking him, but I think they're actually supposed to go through the Astros organization to get the proper permissions to do that.
Is that true?
And I think so. I'm pretty sure that that's the case. But the players that have retired, I just want to throw this out there. And I've got a list of all the Colorado players and their addresses that are minimum of everybody that lives in Colorado that played ball in the majors. And we could try to, penetrate that group. But when I contacted Clint Barmas about coming to our SABR Day meeting, coming up, which he was so excited to do. And I said to him, I go, we've got a lot of people that really are going to be excited about this. And that your name really carries a lot of weight around here. A lot of people, you were one of their favorites. And his comment to me was, man, he said, are you serious? I said, yeah. And he goes, I just don't feel like that anymore. He said, maybe because he lives in Northern Colorado. And he said, all the events I go to, everybody's seen me enough. It's just no big deal. But he goes, I just don't get that feeling. And I think a lot of players, we forget that they actually are excited now after they've retired to come back and get a speak, unless you're at a Denny McClain level or something where it gets, to be, you're getting demanded your time all the time. But a Clint Barmas, who was 10 full years of major league service, 13 in total. He's excited to come and have people show some interest in it.
That's great.
So,
I mean,
And all these guys have stories, right? Like I don't care if they're famous or not. Yeah, I like that idea, Kurt, to go through that list and invite some of those folks. That's cool.
So, Dave, some of the best stories I told Joe that I get out of these guys is to just ask them to tell a few stories about when they were in the minors, to think back to that, some of the funny things that happened. They've all got stories, some
Right on.
great stories. The ones they're willing to share, they're always good too.
I mean, former players is definitely obviously the biggest draw, I think. But a few months back, when Greg Petty was offering to bring in Ted Yo, who's an agent, I think an MLB agent would be interesting. Even a groundskeeper, anybody at all, bring anybody at all. I mean, anybody who has stories to tell outside of our chapter would be an interesting guest speaker to have. And I think there's enough of them out there that we could, again, if not every month, then at least maybe every other month. That would really add a lot of, it would probably bring in more people to our luncheons, and it would just add a lot more value to the luncheons.
Mm-hmm.
The virtuals will keep doing those, but I'd love to do those every month. But again, it's key to have an interesting agenda and an external speaker. And again, there's a huge pool of authors out there who are always willing to go on and promote your books, and whoever else we can get. So, but I think we should really push hard to have the virtuals as often as possible, ideally every month. And I will make that a priority of mine to make sure that we try to do that.
Joe, one thing we had suggested last year or 2 years ago, maybe, and it never really came to fruition, but was to assign each person on the board, this is your month to come up with something for the Zooms. And I'm not a big Zoom guy personally, but I would certainly be willing to do that, have people kind of take turns and And you know, when it's your turn, come up with a author or a ex-player or something of interest, you know, even whether it be the baseball card groups or whatever.
So you're saying amongst the board members, everyone takes a turn to find somebody?
Yeah, you know, that's we talked about doing that a couple of years ago, but it never came to fruition. But you know, it's your turn to put something together for a Zoom. Either go out and find somebody, or you know, maybe hosting one that you know it might a subject that's of interest to you. Like I could have maybe done one on Smoky Joe Wood, you know, to the group or something. You know,
Right.
consolidate that to
I
half an
mean,
hour, and then we talk about something else.
that's a good suggestion. Why not extend it to the chapter members too? I mean, Doug Dinsmore,
Hmm.
I mean, like him or not, I mean, he actually found an author of a book which was kind of interesting that he tried to get us to do a virtual call with. Other people may know people outside the board within our chapter may know people of interest that are willing to present on a virtual call. So rather than just confine it to whatever the nine of us, I mean, extend that,
Mhm.
challenge to all of our board members, right?
Yeah,
Well, chapter members rather.
exactly, not just the board members, but finding people that want to take on, you know, I'll do June of next year or whatever, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it could be a board member kind of owns one or two of the months, and then it's up to the board member to reach out to the membership or anybody else to see if they want to help. Anyway, just kind of brainstorming.
That,
But
that's
yeah,
Yeah.
oh,
that
oh,
that's an excellent suggestion. So I guess responsibility should be on a board member that they could go out and they could solicit input from the chapter members.
right on. It's like, hey, I need help. Somebody, let's find a speaker. Nothing wrong with that.
All right, great suggestion. Outings, we had there was a good turnout and everyone had fun when Brian did the free tour of Coors Field a couple months back. A lot of you guys were on that tour. And I mean, Brian is just exceptional at giving those tours. But other outings, I know that Dr. Dave Wallach has volunteered to do the graveyard tour, and we could do admissions, free admission to Bruce's museum. Just have like outings, but have the outings be limited to members only. I mean, our luncheons and our events, we invite members and non-members because we look at those as recruiting opportunities, but we should have things that are specific to members only. I think these outings should be that. So I can't think of, we don't have to think of any specific examples right now other than, and it would be great if like once a quarter Brian could do the ballpark tour at Coors, but just to have outings for members only, I think that would be a great way to add value and to promote membership, right?
I had one idea because it's something that I wanted to do and I haven't done it yet. And I know some of the members have gone to the Junior College World Series. You know, maybe we do a group, you know, just rent a van or a bus and
Where is
people
that?
go and
Grand Junction.
Oh,
Grand
down at that
Junction.
junction. That's
Yeah.
actually a great idea. I like that.
Yeah.
When is it? What month?
It's in June.
That's a great suggestion. I mean, Carrie, you're willing to, we'll rent the van. You'll do the driving, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's so I'm sure that we could come up with a lot of other ideas we put on my. We don't have to do it now, but I mean, just have members only outings is a great thing. Keep doing contests. So I did get final word from HQ that having a 13 run pool, doing a guess the number of wins for the Rockies, that is not considered gambling, and it is perfectly allowed that we do that, and we can award a cash prize to the winner. That's not gambling. It's certainly within our right to do so. You have to have three elements to be considered gambling. One is that you're putting up some kind of risk, some kind of a monetary risk. Another is it's an element of chance, and third is a prize. If we're not charging a fee to participate in these pools or contests, and it's not considered gambling, we should keep doing those, right? So fantasy baseball might be a bit much because there's a lot involved with that. But I mean, the guess the Rockies win, 13 run pools. We could think of some other stuff too, right? And those should be only for members only as well, I think. Right? Um, Committees will involve those are chapter events, having these committees and having them like we do the baseball card meeting every quarter. Um, I put down quarterly events. I think the breakfast would qualify as a good quarterly event that we could have. Maybe there could be other ones we could think of too. And at the bottom, I have the banquet. I mean, I have a question mark next, but I think it seems really feasible that we could do this. In talking to Paul, he's very confident that he can get this going. to have a November banquet, and he has the contacts with the Rocky still. He's confident he can get the $2,500 a venue fee waived by Coors Field. Um, I think it would be great to have, and not all. How many of us on this call have actually even attended the bank? I know you, Kurt, have, but Karen, have
I
you?
love them.
Yeah.
You haven't.
Yeah.
It's only everyone who's attending them says how great they are. They stopped. I don't know. Maybe when Dan took over, they stopped. I don't know when, but
Yeah, when Dan took over, Dan did not like it. He hates banquets. He's been to so many banquets his whole life.
well, all right.
He just hated them.
And so that means the whole chapter has to not have because he hates them.
Yeah.
I think they're a great idea, and I think
They're a lot of work though, and Paul's got to really commit to putting that. We've all got to help him out. We did before as members, but Paul did. He did so much work for him. It's a lot, and I mean, we sent out envelopes to every commit, actual uh, mailed invitation. It was, we'd go in and stuff these, get this done, and address the envelopes and all that. There's a lot of stuff that was involved with
a
that.
lot of work. There's no doubt. And Paul obviously knows more than anyone how much work's involved. He's willing to kind of lead that. He's gonna, like I said, he's recruiting. Bill helped him a lot with this, and then Bill's willing to come back and become a member again, which would be nice, and help Paul in this. And he says Mark Knutsen's also willing to help, and he'll become a member. And I'm sure we all could pitch in as well. But this is very feasible. We'd probably have to start planning no later than April, maybe early May at the latest for this, but it's certainly a doable thing, and I think we should really, push for this. All right. And we have
There,
the funding and we never lost money on a banquet. We always
didn't we? Did he say that?
even. What's that?
Did he say we never lost
He
money on
did say
one?
that between the silent auction, what would he charge? Like $75 a head for this or somewhere around there?
Well, it was 65 usually, and then I think it went up 75 the last year.
Then you got the silent auction. And then, like you said, the Rockies bought a table, which was like
Mhm.
$2,000, and then so the worst.
We even got a large donation from the sports Blake Street Tavern.
Well, we can't get donations anymore. We can't take direct donations, and
Right.
you have to be very creative in how we actually accept donations.
Yeah.
But that's something we should push. And I have this at the bottom. This is pie in the sky. This should have three question marks. I mean, research criteria for hosting the convention again. We did it once, right? And why shouldn't we at least consider, what's involved in doing it? It may be a little out of our reach, but at least, consider it, right?
Denver.
What's that?
We're Denver. It's not like
Come on,
we're
man,
a,
come
you
on.
know,
We're
we're a
five,
big
for
league
Christ's sake.
city.
Come on. It's been in Cleveland like six times already, and we're better than
Wow.
Yeah, the last time it was here was like '02. Yeah, we could pull it off. I mean, we should be near the top of the list, like if we're willing to do it. I'm sure National would think it's a strong idea.
I
A
agree.
national actually would love for us to do it. They
They
came
would,
and
right?
approached us a couple
Oh,
of
wow.
times about doing it, and we basically told them no.
Oh
So
boy.
you say that a banquet's a lot of work. I can only imagine the amount of effort involved in hosting the national convention, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. But however, National does a lot of it, right? And
Yeah, they do.
they've
They
done
do.
it. They
They
do
do.
it every year. They kind of have a routine,
But
and we would heavily help them, right? That's kind of how I view it, at least. I think that's how it works.
but we should
Yep.
at the very least explore what's involved in doing it. I know that Denver is the only city in the US that ever turned down the Olympics. Is that true? So
Mhm.
I know we have a reputation of not wanting to host things, but
Wait
we
a minute. Let's do the Olympics too, you guys. I think we could do it.
we may as well, right?
Hey,
Um,
just really quick. I need to run a few minutes early. Sorry to bail, but good seeing everybody, and we'll be in touch soon. Have fun,
thank you,
guys.
Dave.
All right, we'll see you,
Hey,
Dave.
your
Later.
card tricks last night were great.
Oh,
It was
thanks, man.
fantastic. It was fantastic, Dave.
Awesome. Hey, anytime.
So a couple more slides. Promotion of the chapter. So I guess three things. What do we want to promote and who do we want to promote it to, right? So we want to promote, first of all, that we exist, right? We want to promote what we do and who we are and why it's worth your while to join and participate. And I guess we want to promote to existing members, to folks who are members who never get involved. We want to promote to them. We want to promote to potential new members, and we want to promote to SABR HQ. We want HQ to know the good work we're doing, right? Um, so what are ways we could do that? So website, we have a honestly, I know I wrote it, so maybe I'm biased, but I think we have a really good website, and it's certainly better than any other website, any other chapter. As I know this for a fact, we have 87 regional chapters. Seven of those 87 actually have a website. I've been to all seven. I'll send you the links. You judge for yourself. We have a really good website, and a website's only as good as the content. So how do we promote the website? Are you guys familiar with SEO, what that is? Some of you guys
Yes.
know, Kerry, you are. So it's search engine optimization. When you go to Google and you type in words like baseball or baseball club or baseball group, what are the matches you're getting on the first page in Google? And there's ways that you could both technically and non-technically enhance your site to bring the likelihood that it's going to be on the first page. And I've done that with other sites. I could do that with our site. So if someone is living in the Denver area and wants to join a baseball club or maybe a baseball meetup, type in the words. So if I could, I was going to give examples. I won't do it though, but just things I could do that people who are looking to participate in the baseball group can go into a Google browser, type in keywords, and our website will come to the very top of the list, if not the top, the first page for sure. So that's a good way to actually get people to be aware of who we are is through our website SEO.
Mhm.
Social media, we have an Instagram account, we have a Facebook account, we have an X account, but they're dormant. We should start using them more. We should start adding content to this more. I don't know whether we should have a social media committee or whether I should do that or maybe me and Kerry should do that. But we should start adding to our social media to show people that we're doing stuff rather than have these accounts and not do anything with them. Cross promotion with other organizations, right? There's other baseball groups, historical societies, et cetera, in the Denver metro area, even in Colorado, that we should be doing some cross promotion with. I always said that the ballpark museum, we should have some signage in the ballpark museum saying who we are, maybe flyers in the ballpark museum that someone who comes in to visit the museum can grab a flyer and say, oh, this seems interesting. Let me find out more about it. But History of Colorado Center may be another opportunity we could do this. I mean, Mr. Kerry, you know a lot of folks that, there's a lot of other groups that we could maybe do some cross promotion with, right?
Yeah.
Like who?
Well, you mentioned a few of them. I'd have to put my
I don't want to put you on the spot.
thinking
I'm just
cap
kidding you,
on
but
it.
but I'm saying that cross promotion is a good one. We promote them, they promote us, and it's a win-win situation. The recruitment committee that one of you guys brought up that we should have, yes, we should have that. I put together a recruitment and retention plan, and maybe we should elaborate on that. And diversity of recruitment. Ideally, more people under the age of 70 we should get into our chapter. Obviously, we don't have enough people of color in our chapter. We had Thomas Harding, who was a gem. We should get him back on our chapter. I mean, I don't know what it would take. And Kurt, are you in regular contact with Thomas or?
Yeah, in fact, I'll be seeing him at the February at the lunch, and I always spend a lot of time talking to him in Greeley at that. But I always talk to Thomas 3 or 4 times a year at least.
And now that we have a female on our board, so we're diverse. Recruit more women. I don't know how we recruit more. Just women just aren't big fans of baseball, it seems, right? They love football, they love hockey. They're not huge fans of baseball for some reason. Right? Baseball is just not. I don't know.
That's so wrong.
That's wrong, all right? Then prove me wrong.
It is so
How-
wrong.
I will tell you, Greg Petty's class that he holds, his baseball class, the DU Ollie program, typically has more women than men in it.
Are you serious? Really?
Yeah, it really does.
That is a great recruitment opportunity. So when you go
Yeah,
and you teach that class, you hand them your business card and hand them flyers and recruit them. That would be great.
yeah.
Spring
Um,
training in Florida has more old ladies than men.
is that true? All right.
Yep.
Well, that may be true in Arizona. I go all the time in Arizona.
Probably,
There, you're right.
probably,
There's a
probably
lot
is.
of women at the games.
And baseball moms are a huge,
So
Yeah.
let's
huge.
let's target them somehow and get some in because we're like 98%, men in our chapter. And that it's not just our chapter, it's all the regional chapters. It's SABR in general for some reason. And the last is offering gift memberships. So I think we should give gift memberships for value added members, people who by being a member of our chapter make us a better chapter, right? So not just your cousin who is interested in baseball, you want to give them a gift membership. Um, People like Thomas Harding, people like Manny Rendawa, I'm sure others.
Brian King.
Brian King. We'd be the only chapter in the entire country to have an active major league player as a member. We should have Brian King become, even though he wouldn't participate, but still, Thomas and Manny were regular. They were board members at one time. They were regular participants. They were value add participants. Give them gift memberships if they're willing to at least come to a couple of our luncheons, right? Patrick Saunders is a member, right? But he doesn't. How do we get him to participate in some of our meetings? That would be a great, great win.
Patrick has always been very receptive when we've asked him. He always has come to our banquets, but we've asked him to speak a couple of times, and he's always been receptive to doing that. He's good with that. When he's available, he's good that way. But he's never just popped in and shown up to a regular luncheon, though.
Okay. Even to get him to write something for our blog or for our newsletter would be great too. I mean, just having his name on one of our blog newsletter articles is showing that we have, some cachet, right? Writer
Yeah.
for the Post is writing for our newsletter. All right. A couple more. So expanding outreach, right? Involving things I had in mind for this. So we have really low participation. Like I said, we have 168 members. Only 52 of those members voted, and maybe only 30 show up to our meetings on a regular basis. I mean, how do we actually expand our outreach, not just to our chapter, but to the community, right? So the survey, I think, was good insight. We got some good response on our server, and based on that, maybe we could set up some committees, have some events that'll be more interesting to our chapter members, but kind of poll them on an ongoing basis, see what they like and what they don't like and what they'd like changed. So kind of hear from them. So poll them. Um, our luncheons, a couple of times Greg May would get up and give a presentation. Dave Wallach does some stuff. Let's encourage a rotating participant, maybe a member, encourage somebody different every month to get up and give a presentation at our luncheon. Some people might be shy doing that, but I mean, once they do it once, I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. Everybody has something interesting they could share, whether it's
Yep.
a baseball story, whatever. So let's encourage those. I put down record or stream luncheons. That probably wouldn't work, right? I mean, it's just the logistics of our luncheons. They don't really bode well toward recording and streaming, I guess, right? But
Right.
I mean, um, the virtual meetings we talk about and make involvement accessible to remote members. Again, we'll show you the demographics. Probably 75% of the people who are in our chapter live within 30 miles of the Denver metro area. So is it really worth extending outreach to somebody who lives in Durango or somebody who lives in, wherever? I mean, it's probably not. I mean, we could do it, but I don't know whether it's worth the effort or time. The thing I mentioned before was Slack. I think it's such a great tool, and I put together a video a while back on how you use it, and it's really pretty easy, and it's such a great way for people to collaborate, outside of our scheduled luncheons. And maybe I don't know. Anybody have any suggestions on how I could kind of re-promote Slack and get people to use it more?
No suggestions, but boy, had a lot of head of steam at first, and I don't know if I'm just not getting them, but I haven't seen anything on that for a long time. It just kind of died out for some
I
reason.
died out, right? So,
Yeah.
so, so now that we got the email working well, right? We had an issue with email for a long time where people weren't getting emails. Now we're using MailChimp. So everyone is getting their email. I get a confirmation when they receive the mail, when they open it. So maybe the issues that Sabre had with email was preventing everyone from getting our emails before. Now that's not an issue. So maybe I'll send out another email about Slack, put a link to the video in there, and maybe that'll rekindle interest in it. Because
It
then
feels like there are only about three of us really actively using it. Like Patrick chimes in if I post something. John probably posts more than anyone. I've talked to John about it. I mean, even if just everyone on this call committed to posting once a week, if you're not on it, get on it. If you're on it, post once a week. I think just that might
Well,
get a little momentum going.
I'm going to kind of, uh, somebody had said earlier that they didn't like it because they got too many emails with it,
Harry
but
said that.
I,
Yeah.
I don't get them anymore. And I used to get them and I'd jump right on and see what it was. So I didn't even know anybody was using it.
So, Kerry, did you cancel your account? Is that why you're not getting you? Because I think I actually turned that notification off, but you're not getting emails anymore, Kerry, because I think you killed your Slack account.
Yeah, I believe I did.
All
Yes.
right. So I will verify that I've turned the notifications off. I'll send an email out to the chapter saying, hey, we got this wonderful utility for collaboration called Slack. Here's a video on how to use it, and hopefully more people will start using it. And if, like Alex just said, if the folks on the board commit to putting good content out there, everyone doesn't have to be a contributor to it, but we'd like as many people as possible to be a consumer of content on Slack. And if we, commit to putting good content on there, I think more people will use it. So.
Well, Joe, I think my point being though is that I think maybe when it died out is when we did quit getting the emails notifying that somebody posted it. Because all of a sudden I quit getting those, and I just thought it was over, but when everybody was actively participating, and then those email notifications quit coming. I know I hate getting more email notifications than I have to, but that definitely kept me interested in it.
So yeah, but we don't want, let's say there's 100 posts a day. You don't want 100
Yeah.
emails from Slack saying,
So
hey,
is that what it was? Was it? I know I got notified somehow. I don't even remember how. Like something would pop up anyway, but I haven't got that for a long time.
but if it's a regular interesting content, people won't need to be notified. They'll go to it. Like you don't need to be notified when there's something new on, say, CBSSports.com or ESPN.com. You go there expecting to see new content without being notified. And that's what I think our website and Slack should be. People should go there without, an email telling them to go there because they want to see what new is on there. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I, I don't know. I don't see myself doing it much if I'm not notified somebody's posting
So what
something.
websites do you use? You go to the NewYorkTimes.com or do you go to ESPN.com on a daily basis? Or
Not
there's no
much of
website
anything
you go
that
to
way.
on a daily basis, really?
No,
I'm sure, Kerry, what sites do you go to on a daily basis?
I go to the Denver Post.
Oh, Denver. Oh, there you go. So do you need to be
Yeah,
notified that the Denver Post has new content?
no.
Oh,
Every morning I get up and read my Denver Post, and
well, and
that's
we
about
don't
it.
need people to go to our website or Slack every morning, but let's say two, three times a week. The curiosity, say, as long as we're putting new content out there, as long as every time they go there, it's the same old nonsense, they'll stop using it. But if we have regular content posted on our website and on Slack, people will go there a couple times a week without being notified. I think so anyway.
I think it's twofold. There's the content piece of it, and then there's the technical side of it, because it sounds like some people have trouble even just getting it up and going, and then there's this notification aspect of it. And I think that the notifications can be pretty customizable. I don't get any emails on any of the Slacks I'm involved with, but you can set it up so you get like push notifications on your phone if something important is going on, or you can have absolutely nothing. But yeah, I'm on one where there's reliably something there every few hours. So if I'm bored, I just know to open it up and snoop around, and then I'll also check the SABR one, and it's usually crickets there.
Okay. Why don't I do this? Why don't I see what notification options exist? I could send an email out to the board saying, here are which of these makes the most sense to implement, if any of them do, and then we'll take it from there. We'll enable those and only those, and then I'll send out an email to the chapter saying, hey, have you looked at Slack? And here's a video how to use it, and hopefully it'll start using it again. That sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. And the other thing I have is outreach with the community, with schools, museums, youth programs, libraries. We're not doing much of that. And that's at the core. That's why we have not gotten MVP status, is because we don't really do a lot of community outreach. And with the exception of Baseball Memories, which is a great, great program, but maybe we could do more of that. Look for opportunities with youth programs or with schools or with some of the museums. And another thing I'd love to do is engage with some of the other chapters, right? We're kind of isolated here. We kind of correspond with HQ a lot on a regular basis anyway, but how often do we correspond with the leads from the San Antonio chapter or the Los Angeles chapter or the Brooklyn chapter? So we have a leads call tomorrow. I don't know if all of you who are new to the board have gotten the invite for that. Probably not because you're not board members yet, but they have the quarterly leads meetings, but we should, take the initiative to kind of engage with some of the leads from other chapters to see what stuff they're doing, maybe get some good ideas, and then get good ideas from us as well.
Joe, let me make one comment about that. It's kind of related to that, and it relates to something Karen had brought up earlier. But always when Paul was the president, in the weekly newsletter that we get from National, we always had our chapters monthly luncheon listed in there as to when and what time it was, where it was, and the every now and then we had people show up from other chapters. They'd be visiting Denver, and they just pop in and visit our luncheons because they'd see it on there. And and I think it might be something that even people that are members in Denver getting that one, it would be a way to remind them. But we ought to get where they're posting that again because they post about 10 chapters lunches or what their regular meetings, but we aren't on there anymore.
All right, I could have it added. Now, I think it's a great way to get people who are members of other chapters. I assuming they do check the newsletter. If you're visiting Denver, you want to. Has that happened much? We've had people from other parts
We've
of the
had
country,
some. It didn't happen a lot, but we'd have a few times a year people would pop in from other chapters.
but
They'd see that.
I think getting an email from me twice a month or three times a month, right before our monthly luncheon as a reminder, is a much more effective way of telling them we're having.
Yeah, for our own people, but it did bring in some people once in a while. It was always fun to have get their, even if it was only a few times a year, it was interesting to get their perspectives of, what they thought was going on, how much they liked ours and how different what it was from theirs and so forth.
Okay. I'll have them add that again in the Friday newsletter. That shouldn't be hard. All right, the last thing I had was we want to achieve MVP status. So there's three possible status levels you could have based on set criteria: starting lineup, All-Star, MVP. Starting lineup, everybody has at least that. Well, I shouldn't say that. These are the base things. I'm not going to go through all these right now. I'll send the deck out. You can review these, but these are the basic things you have to have. You criteria you have to meet rather in order to qualify as starting lineup. If you fail to meet this criteria, SABR headquarters could either suspend you or they could just dissolve your chapter. But these are so basic and essential that everyone has them. So there's nothing special about them. All-star. So the last 4 years we achieved all-star status. Um, in addition to the starting lineup, you have to have a set of bylaws, which you do. You have to have a Saber Day. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the National Saber Day, which we do. We were not all-star until a few years ago, until yours truly came on board to start the newsletter. We met that criteria. Now we're all-star because we have that. And growth and retention is pretty easy. So 80% retention or 5% growth, either or, not both. So if you have 100 members to start the year, you end with 80, you've retained 80. Even though you've lost 20% of your chapter, you still, met the criteria for this. Or if you have 100 new members and five new ones join and 60 leave, you still qualify. So it's not that difficult. You get $250 in funds for doing this. Another thing I found out recently that I didn't know about, regardless of what status your chapter is, every chapter is eligible for up to $350 a year in reimbursement for chapter expenses. We've never taken advantage of that. This is for running events. This is for buying supplies. Anything we do, we don't have. So we've been buying stuff out of our chapter funds, but we are eligible for $350 a year in reimbursement for any chapter expense, regardless of whether you have zero in your bank account or you have 100,000. And we've never taken advantage of that. So, and that just came up in a conversation with Ken Carano recently. So we need to take advantage of that. So in addition to that 350 reimbursement, if you're All-Star, you get 250 more reward at the end of year. And if you're MVP, you get 500 more, which is nice. $500, $500 a year more. The key thing here is the recruitment and retention is not an either or, it's both. You have to achieve 85% retention and 8% growth. Meaning if you have 100 members, you can't lose more than 15. And if you have 100 members, you have to get 8 or more new members end of the year, which is certainly achievable. It's not that daunting of a task, right? And the other key thing is that you participate in the chapter, in the program that it's a collaboration with the community. It's a program that is kind of you're working with a local organization, like a school, like a museum, like a youth program that provides benefit to the region. And I assume baseball members would qualify as that. I guess it would, but it wouldn't hurt to maybe look at a couple others, right? Youth programs are great, right? So I don't know of that many in the Denver area that we could kind of engage with, but I'm sure they exist. They must, right? I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah, and which creates member benefit. It says there that's creates member and
Member
regional
and
benefit.
regional benefit, though. So, I mean,
Yeah,
pretty much anything we do creates member benefit. If you're educating, like the Joe Wood presentation created member benefit because you're raising awareness about a great baseball player who doesn't get the attention he probably deserves. That creates member
Right.
benefit. But
Okay.
mutual
And
benefit,
so like the DU class that I'll be teaching would be similar then,
but
would
that's
be.
not a program, Kurt. That's a one-time thing. The distinction between a project and a program is duration. So a project
But so is the Smoky Joe thing in Durango though, right?
That's not a program as well. That's a one-time thing. Baseball
Yeah.
Memories is a program because it's perpetual.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's something we could do with a youth program or with the museum or whatever. That's an ongoing thing that would
Right.
qualify as ongoing. Programming is ongoing. Projects are fixed duration.
I would still argue that the Colorado baseball program is an ongoing thing that will, the way we have set that up, it's a,
Oh, that's a program for sure because that's not finite. We're gonna keep adding to that as time goes,
yeah.
but that
Okay.
doesn't really create any regional benefit.
Okay.
So these are things in red are where we fell short for MVP status. So
Okay.
certainly we could achieve those. Just a distinction between projects and programs. I mentioned that projects are fixed duration, programs are ongoing. They should be aligned with the SABR mission, which I'll get to in a second. So things we did in 2025, what you just mentioned, Kurt, the Colorado Baseball Players Almanac, the Baseball Memories thing, and the Joe Wood dedication, which was great. I'm a little upset they put the plaque on the ground now, right? I mean, every dog in
I
your
know.
race could leave himself on that plaque, but
Well, I kind of like the idea of it going into that hotel you were going to stay at, that Smokey Joe stayed at when he went back and visited in 1950. I thought that'd be a good place for it. I told him that.
I think that would work well too. So 2026, let's think of what projects and programs we want to do. Obviously, we're going to continue with the Colorado Players Almanac and the Baseball Memories. 2026, we have to come up with some other ones. You could read this at your own leisure. This is the actual SABR mission. I don't know if you ever read this before, but I mean, it kind of makes sense. I mean, at the heart of SABR is research, right? I mean, that's what the R stands for, right? And SABR is research. Um, and to kind of disseminate the history. I mean, writing stuff about players or old ballparks is a key thing for SABR that I think, a lot of our chapter members have a great deal of knowledge about and would love doing. So, and the guiding principles, I'm not going to bore you with these right now, but I'll send this deck out. You can read it, but I mean, it just kind of makes sense. Like, right, history, diversity, local and global presence, whatever. So, um, all right, so chapter governance, I'll email everyone a copy of the governance and standards handbook, a copy of the bylaws, and a copy of our best practices. These are put together by SABR National. The bylaws that we have are specific to our chapter, but they're derived from the SABR National bylaws. Again, we should certainly review those sometime in the first half of this year and amend them as necessary. One of the things I want to say is that if we have something to vote on, all members should be given the opportunity to vote whether they're present or not. So if there's a meeting of only four board members there, we can't take a vote and say, okay, well, four present board members voted yes, it's unanimous vote. Every member should be eligible to vote and allowed to vote whether they're present or not, and they can do it by proxy. I think that's important. And you might notice that Alex is on the call with us. He was not elected to the board, unfortunately. He should have been, and he just missed. But I'm going to propose that we have an alternative board member. There's going to be times during the course of the year that a board member, or maybe more than one board member, really can't attend meetings or can't participate because of personal issues, because of work issues. It's always great to have someone else in there to kind of work with us. The alternate board member would be the same as any other board member, except they would not have the right to vote. But in terms of participation and involvement and ideas and getting involved in programs and whatever, I think that um, we should have that alternate board member in the case where, one or more board members can't do that. So even though we're not an official board and we can't vote yet, I mean, I think we should put this to a vote. Again, not all the board members are here in attendance, so all board votes should go through the secretary. So once we're an official board, Kerry will send out an email asking to vote on this. He could reply back to Kerry with your vote, yay or nay, whether or not we should assign Alex as the alternate board member. And he would have all the privileges any board member has except for the ability to vote. And I mean, we'll Carrie will send that out once. I guess we could send that before January 1st technically, but we really shouldn't. But you could send this out and we'll get feedback from everyone. So anyone have any issue with that proposal, first off? If
I
so,
like it.
okay. And that is it. So I'll let everyone drop with except Michael. I don't know if you're too tired to spend another 5 or 10 minutes on the call with me to go through the treasury stuff.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right. Does anybody else have anything to add before you all drop and I work with Michael on this?
I just want to add that welcome the new members. I think we got a really good group this year. I'm excited about it. So welcome everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Aaron, how was San Diego?
Awesome.
Awesome. Okay. Well, what game are you going to go to tonight?
San Diego State basketball game.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody except for Mike could drop. And thank you all for attending. I appreciate your time. I'm going to stop the recording now.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks.
Thanks,
See
Joe.
you
Have
later.
a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.